Okay, so I've realized something about this YouTuber thing. I'm going to take a few minutes here and explain set a few things straight for the record. One of the things that this has taught me, I don't know, at this point I do about 15 to 20 minute segments, and I was just going through my segments the other day, and I have over 60 of them in the can. Been talking to this camera. I haven't really gone public yet. But I realized I need to explain why I do this. What am I doing? What's the drive? What's the reason for tubing? And it's funny, I've had to actually sit down and deal with the fact that what it comes down to, in a way it's education, but it's not education. It's just because of the complete lack of good information that's out there. I subscribe to a magazine called Imprimis. And it comes out of Hillsdale College, a college that has tried to remain unsullied by the modernity of, well, modernity started in the 60s, so what can I say? They started in the 1800s. The founders of that college felt that it was better to read the classics of literature in their original languages. So to gain admittance to Hillsdale College, as I understand it, you had to be able to read some of the classics that would be required in Latin and in Greek. I just want everybody to think about what that means. This college was founded, and to get into this college, to be given the privilege of giving them your money so that they could educate you, you had to first become not only conversant, but really adept in Greek and Latin, so that you could read these texts in their original form. Now, this is not to say the people back then were smarter than they are now, because all God's children are created equal. I'm sorry. I am blind to everything under the sun. Humanity is humanity, and no, we're not dumber than we were then, but our standards have fallen, people. It's funny because the other night I was researching YouTube to find out how to do this gig. Thoroughly depressing endeavor, seeing what passes for information out there today. But one of the ads that popped up was called Grammarly. We could teach you, we could fix your inadequacies when it comes to the written word. We can teach you how to write. We can teach. Well, I looked at some of their little tutorial. There was a mistake in the stuff they had written on the screen. But that's not the point. I'm not here to point that out. I'm saying we've fallen so far, people, that we think we can be fit. I read a lot, and I read old school. I don't wait till the movie comes out. I've got a room in my house that is bookshelves, floor to ceiling, except that I left them about this far off the floor so you can run the vacuum cleaner under it. Built them on the wall, cleared up. You got to climb a ladder to get up to the top ones, and it's, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet. I have had at one time over 100 feet just of encyclopedias. Then the internet came out, and now I've given them away to all my brothers and sisters. My sister uses the world's best encyclopedias to press flowers. Because the internet's a good thing. This medium is great, guys. This medium is fantastic. I grew up in a time when we read books. We read the Laura Ingalls Wilder books. It wasn't until, obviously, our whole culture was infused with Laura Ingalls Wilder and all that. This is the way it was. Those were such beautiful, wondrous. You know what? They were crap. I still read them to my kids if I had kids. My youngest is 11, so I'm not anymore. But at some point, it's not that they're crap. It's that a parent's job is to subject the kids to things that cause them to think. And the Laura Ingalls Wilder books fall right into that. Little House on the Prairie, great, made a TV show. You know, Island of the Blue Dolphins and some of the classics we had to read, I have to go, you know, this is really, really getting up. But Hatchet, dude writes Sea Survival. What's a kid? Yeah, I thought, well, this is great stuff. Airplane crashes in the wilderness. Kid goes out, lives on nuts and berries and killing bears, and comes out fatter and healthier than he. Well, being the type of person that I am, I took that to its extreme. I went out in the woods and I tried to start to live. And that's been a passion all my life, is to learn how to start fires in the woods, live in the woods. We're just now watching Alone, Vancouver Island, with my 11-year-old. Drop 10 people off, and whoever lasts longest gets $500,000. The only unsullied survival show on the tube. But where I'm going is, I also grew up with Farley Mawat, living with the wolves. Thoreau, telling us how wonderful life was out in the sticks. Bradford Angier, foul. Slavomir Rawiks, I mean, Heike old Slav walked out of Russia, for crying out loud. American guy came with it. It was all BS. I'm sorry, it was fake. But it's in a book, so we just didn't know any better. The amount of drivel I ingested growing up. We all believed alligators in the sewers and little blonde-haired kids like myself getting abducted from shopping malls and being sold for body parts. We could go on and on and on about urban legend. So I've spent my life combating not just bad facts. That's a start. But what I have spent my life combating is bad thinking. That's what this is about. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to try to be really careful with names and people I've dealt with, and for a variety of reasons. The biggest one is there's some really well-known names out there that have done work for me in the past and done beautiful things, made beautiful things, taught me so much, given me benchmarks against which to shoot. But I don't, without their permission, I'm certainly not going to blurt their name out on the internet in connection with me. Some dude out on the end of a mile-long driveway in Washington State. By the same token, so many of the channels out there have got names and sponsors splattered all over the place. Well, to me, that's making a deal with the devil. Not because any of these sponsors is the devil. I could pick somebody that I like Loophole, or, you know, I'll say that name because I'm not going to say anything bad about them. But if Loophole knocks on my door and says, hey, we would like to give you money so that you can promote our name, that's where it stops, because now the next time I have a Loophole that doesn't perform on my scope checker, I might show that to you. There's so much in this. By the time you get to my age, boredom is probably the biggest drag on who we are. Right now, most of us have decided, and especially if we're into buying expensive exotic guns, we've become good enough at something that we can afford to buy some stuff that... Now, when I say expensive exotic guns, I actually had this happen a while back. Guy wheeled down into my range, my shop here, and I was out shooting, and I had a gun out there that was probably worth 10 grand. Even though I had done the work myself, so I probably only had, but I still probably had $4,500, I bet I had 6,000 plus into it. He leans out of his pickup truck and he said, how much did that gun cost? And I said, I don't know, I can build you one for 10 grand. Why would anybody be so stupid? As he drives back out in his $70,000 truck with $100,000 worth of machines on the back to go up onto Mount Hood snowmobiling. Actually, he's going up to Mount St. Helens. I misspoke there. I do that a lot. That's one of the other things I'm learning about this. I misspeak a lot, and so far I haven't taken the time to edit anything, so this is going to be just stop and go and stop and go. That's another thing about this ride. Number one, we don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to go. You certainly don't know where it's going to go. I'm just inviting you if you want to ride along. I like to teach. At one time I thought I was going to be a teacher. I've spent my whole life getting to a point where I can. 2 stories above my head in this building, there's a classroom. 1,000 square feet of classroom, seats 40 people, teachers, big screen on the wall, stuff. Maybe someday, if people decide they want to follow me around on the YouTube, maybe I'll walk the camera up there and walk you around the classroom, because we teach hunter education. I believe that Washington State hunter education is still the only universally reciprocal, the only universally accepted. As far as I know, you make it through me, you make it through us teachers, you make it through our class, and you're good to hunt anywhere in the northern United States. That's not true of some. You know, some of them, they say, well, whose class did you go through? As far as I know, but we're passionate. We're very, very passionate about teaching. Passionate enough that the top room of this building, there's 70 feet by 20 some feet dedicated specifically. There's nothing. This isn't about. And this is earlier when I said deal with the devil. That's exactly where I was going with it. I have no ulterior motive here, except that I really, really care about the future of our rights in this country, which means there's nothing altruistic about it. I'm just trying to look out for my own grandkids and my own kids. Not even that. I'm so thankful. We use terms like we stand on the shoulders of giants. And that's so true. It seems trite, but it's so true. People have set this up for what it is. And I live this lifestyle like no one in the history of the planet ever has before. I can go out and do this stuff. I got a barrel laying here that, when I was younger I couldn't even afford to have, which is all fine, but that's not the point. Now that I can, now I can walk over, open that door, and shoot it right 24 hours a day, right out the window of my own home. I value that. I look at where other countries are, where they've gone, where they have been, where they're headed, where we're headed. And I'm sorry, I like big trucks, loud noises, blowing stuff up. So, that's kind of where we're here. And I'm gonna, as we go through, you need to understand there's gonna be diatribes as to why are we doing this? What am I doing? What's my motive? Because on some visceral level, all of us recognize being sold to, whether we put it into terms or not, whether we know it or not, whether we understand it or not. Some salesman comes wheeling through and he's got God's gift to whatever it is that we're doing this day. We've all fallen for it. Anybody that's old enough and financially stable enough to own a cool gun, or car, or bike, or boat, to go back to the guy laughing at my gun as he drives out with 4 sleds on the back that are, I have Viva, awesome, great, Mocha! I'm all about that. I'm glad that but I'm not going to, it's just funny, it's so disingenuous that a guy running around with $100,000 worth of toys is going to pick on a $10,000 toy. Yeah, it's a gun. It's a crazy, crazy cool gun. If we continue to do this filming thing, and if you follow me around, you'll see it sometime. If you're a match shooter, you'll see it at a match sometime, because I'll beat you with it. But it's been broken until lately. I just got to back up. Someday I'm going to show what was broken and why. That's what this is about. This is specifically about sharing some of the things I found. But I mentioned one time before, Benchrest Central. When I was first introduced to bench rest, there was a few books out, a few magazine articles. I knew this one guy. I was working in a gun store, so I'd sold a guy a Seiko 6 PPC, and it was shooting one hole, but it was a Seiko USA American, and he was proud of that. And I was kind of But we didn't have this proliferation of information until the mid-90s. I bought every book, read every magazine, subscribed to Accurate Shooter and Precision Shooting, gun games, everything through this time, trying to get rid, and went to the library. And there's only so much information. Then came the internet and the internet forums. And that BRC forum has done more. I'm sorry, but Wilbur Harris has done more for accuracy with his little forum than, in my opinion, again, this is Opinions by Al, that's the name of this show, right? In my opinion, that forum has done more to change accuracy than anything else in the history of firearms. Well, maybe rifling or, changing to smokeless or something, but incrementally we're going along, people winning. When I first bought the company that I owned back in the 80s, was the birth of the cell phones. And when you got your brick phone, one of the things that came with it was free long distance. Free long distance was a real novelty in those days. I was used to spending $10 an hour to talk to my prospective wife or to do business. Free long distance. I went to every magazine and I started calling the big boys of the gun industry. I'd be driving between jobs or doing things. I'd get some time to kill and I'd call the East Coast at one time, and I'd call, it's free long distance, for crying out loud. That's unheard of. This is what a benefit of having this phone. And I found out there's no agreement. There's no agreed way to build cool stuff. One guy is hard set one way and one guy's hard set the other way. That's what this is about. But I call people who built winning guns. And I made a pest of myself at times. Some of them will know me, some of them might watch this, some of them might chuckle, some of them might be ready to pinch my little neck. Doesn't matter. I am here where I am now, doing what I do now, and I've learned I have to thank those people for the time they spent. Some of them took time out. I know I used to stand behind the counter and I hated nothing worse than the dude who came in, so and I would know hours were going to go by. You guys just killing time. I got guns in the back I got to fix. I've got jobs, I've got a boss. I need to earn my paycheck, right? So I know how big a deal it was for these men, these people, these businessmen to spend time with me. Yeah, I spent money on them. Furthermore, I sent a lot of money their way. And that's what this kind of stuff is. Bench Rest Central has been maligned in the past. I've heard this from the mouth of gunsmiths. They're selling all the secrets. They're giving them out for free. This is the kind of stuff. No. The fact that we know that the correct way to dig dirt is by using a bulldozer or a backhoe doesn't mean that everybody has a bulldozer and a backhoe. The gunsmiths are still going to have what the gunsmiths have. There are no proprietary secrets, are just for losers. So, that's, again, Opinions by Al, sorry. I have spent more money with people who are free and open and frank with facts than by people blowing smoke up my butt. And right now, I look around the state of the internet and I see so much smoke blowing up so much butts that I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this. I've got to go on and please, people, please, use the brain God gave you. Think, for crying out loud. Set some standards. Incisive thinking and decision making is way more important than anything. I don't expect you to learn from me. These are just my opinions. Just put it into your brain bank. It's just part of the fodder that's being chewed up in that gizzard, people. Don't trust me. Don't trust the biggest name. I have spent some really serious money. I'll tell you one. I had a gun built one time with a custom fitted bolt face because one of the highest names in the industry believed you could contain the case head on a case. Well, tight chambers didn't work, so a fitted bolt face was the only thing left. Maybe we'll tell that story sometime, but suffice it to say that a fitted bolt face does not contain the expansion, of a case head. Fact! Nor does tight chambers. All things that I really want to share my thoughts on. And then, out in the shop, here at the loading bench, whatever, look at it. Because 20 minds looking at the situation is so much better than my pea brain alone. This is where I was going. Back when I had free long distance, I called and got questions answered from all these different perspectives, and I found all the perspectives are valid. Maybe some of them weren't. It doesn't matter. Opinions none of that matters. They just all went in there. They're still going in there. And this is why I say this medium, YouTube, the internet, forums, bleeding edge. Absolutely the best of times and the worst of times. That was some kind of a mischaracterization of a really bad quote. But that's me.